It's time we talk to pro bono director Brett MAUSER. He's here now. Hey, Brett, how's it going?
Great. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I caught you at work.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a professor teaching film. So yeah, you got me here. So maybe we have a couple students swing by here or there, but
That's perfect. I don't know what the side gig is, if it's directing and making films like you do or teaching, but I think it's important to have a diversified career portfolio. So
absolutely. Yes. I couldn't do it without having that backup job.
no, I look, even with Film Threat now, I do little gigs here and there, opportunities come my way and I'm making films. That's my on the side thing, and Film Threat's my main thing, but one of
Well,
the
I
things.
definitely enjoy teaching. I love being able to have the experience and teach the next generation of students, of filmmakers. It's a joy watching the next generation come up.
Well, I mean, we could just, trade stories about our jobs. One of my favorite things to do is talk film all day and talk to filmmakers, especially indie filmmakers. But yeah, the conversation, I don't think no matter what a job I would have, I'd always be talking about movies in some form. You have a new movie out now called Pro Bono. Tell us about it.
Well, this was basically I had my winter vacation break for teaching, and I was like, well, I got on my breaks, I've got to shoot something. We didn't have anything planned, and I had come across this old practical joke that we had played on one of our actors from Red Days, a zombie movie that we had. We had tricked him into a scene that wasn't actually in the script, and just as a practical joke, and had him, shall we say, have a fake sex scene with a skeleton that we had. And we just did it as a practical joke, and we came across it again. And I said, you know what if we made this skeleton into a puppet and did an actual movie with him as the star? And I gave it to the same guy who we tricked into doing the scene with, and he made the puppet. It was an old, like, just one of those $60 skeleton Halloween decorations that you get off of Amazon or whatever. And he put the puppeting and was able to turn the head and talk. And I wrote a script in just about a week or so and said, let's have a blast with this and just do something silly. And we really went in and tried to make this as seriously film noir as possible. The actors took it seriously, played against the skeleton like it was a real person, and had one of the best times we've ever had filming a movie. I usually am ready for the film to end when we're in production. Just, okay, let me just wrap this up. I did not want this one to end because I was able to play the skeleton, so I'm off screen, puppeting it, and you just get to be improv and just let loose because it's sort of a therapy. It's I guess those sock puppets they give you in therapy sessions or whatever. You just get the voice and just have a blast. And it was just such a great time for everybody on set.
Well, let's actually take a look at the trailer and we'll talk about it on the other side. In fact, the trailer, it's on you posted the trailer, but we have it on our Film Threat Trailers channel. So check that out, Film Threat Trailers. Let's watch the 1.5 minute trailer for Pro Bono. Here we go.
I got a bone to pick with you, skin job.
Give me a break, Harding. I just watched a man die. Now I gotta tell that man's wife that he's not only cheating on her, but he's dead.
He's dead. How he got that way, well, that's no skin off my back. Sorry. No offense.
None taken. I'm not exactly your typical private dick.
Get out of my way!
Means I'm not gonna get the typical cases. But I'm okay with that. No matter what comes my way, I'm gonna keep my nose to the grindstone. I'll work my fingers to the bone, and I'll never, ever, ever let anything get under my skin. I'm the backbone of this town. I'm Frank Bonner, private detective. I detect things. It's my job.
Oh my God. Wow. That is horror comedy is something that I always love. It's like there's also a famous movie called Necromantic. As you were talking, I just was thinking about that movie from Jörg Bucheret from Germany.
Mm.
But so look, what was the budget for this thing? How did you pull it off? How many days of shooting? And how did you keep a straight face while you're filming?
Oh, we didn't. If we have a blooper reel, I think up on YouTube. Well, actually, I think it's private. We'll be setting it public shortly, but you can tell we could not keep a straight face. One of our lead actresses, the one who plays the femme fatale, the redhead, Melissa Dawn Smith, she just kept cracking up all the time. Because sometimes you trip or sometimes something just doesn't go right. But at one point, his jaw broke. And I play it off on set, and I would have him be making all the action calls and cuts, and he would be speaking because that would be me. So it was just one laugh after another. So no, it's very difficult to keep a straight face, and we have outtakes, proving that. The budget was under 2,000. It was just
2,000. Okay.
It was just because basically it just all goes to the actors. We have our equipment, our lighting, and it's just shooting in my place, shooting in Sergio's place, asking, hey, can we use your office, and going in and shooting in there. And the skeleton itself was, I think, 60 or 70 bucks. And then that was just getting the props here and there. I'd say probably 1,500 of it went to cast and crew, and about 500 was probably the props and everything. And it took us.
What about meals? What about meals? You got to feed your crew.
I make it myself. I have a slow cooker. I go in and make,
Wow.
and then I get go to HEB, the grocery store here, and just get some frozen chicken nuggets. And I have a little buffet plate that has that hot plate with 3 little pockets. We put them in there. I have a Sam's card, so I get just the bulk potato chips and water and sodas, put them in a cooler, have them there. And then I have an episode on my one of my YouTube channels about for what went wrong. That talks about how we make films. Basically, go and for $10 you can feed an entire cast and crew. With like a little slow cooker. I have a slow cooker. I have a chili mac that everybody loves and adores. And then, if you just make it the night before, bring it with your little crock pot, stick it in there, warm it up. In 2 or 3 hours, it's ready for lunch.
I never thought I'd talk to a director about feeding your crew tips, but it is one of the things that they say, always treat your crew well. You got to have snacks, got to have drinks, you got to feed your crew.
My early days of filmmaking, 15, 20 years ago, we would have to defer because we didn't have any money to pay up front. And it was our food that kept actors coming back because we learned early on, feed your crew, treat them well, and they'll want to come back. Even if you just get, like I said, one of those little $30 buffet trays, and have go down to the grocery store and get the Hot Pocket or the pizza rolls, little pizza rolls, put them in there. People love those. I had one actor, he's actually in pro bono, Christopher Henry. He came to our films just for the pizza rolls.
Well, I'll just say this, I know you didn't shoot this movie in California, but California actors are probably more specific about dietary needs, as it were.
Yeah,
but,
we have learned to have at least one thing that's a vegan meal, like a vegetable chili or something like that. But other than that, we're like, hey, this is what you get.
Yeah. So
this is
how long did it take to shoot?
About 3 weekends.
So wait, weekends. So
yes.
A week, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. I think the total time was 7 days if you crunched them all together. But a lot of our actors can't work during the week because they have day jobs, so we have to do just weekends. And I think we did it over a period of 3 weekends.
Being a film noir, did you look at old film noir stories? I mean, it's a ridiculous concept, but it seems to follow all the tropes in 40s film noir.
Yes, I was turned on to film noir back with I don't know if you remember the old show Moonlighting with Bruce Willis and Sybil Shepherd.
Oh yeah, of course.
The film, the episode post the dream sequence always rings twice. That was my introduction to those film noir films, and that got me into Casablanca and Humphrey Bogart. One of my best friends, my dog of 12 years, named him Bogey. After Bogart. So I was a big fan of it. And it's funny you say that, because when I was writing the script, I could hear Humphrey Bogart in my head as Sam Spade and, Philip Marlowe as I was writing the Bonner character. And I could hear his voice and his speech pattern in that. And then there is just there are those tropes that I guess probably within the last couple of years I've gone back and rewatched a lot of those great film noirs and just been, The Killing and even some of the heist films, Rafifi, because I'd written a heist film. So those have been a part of me. I love those films. To Have and to Have Not and Big Sleep. Yeah, those are, I grew up on those, and just, really, I don't want to say studied them, but they were a big part of my my film education. So it just came natural to, to make a project like that. I did a time travel epic, many, many years ago, and they went back into the 40s. So we had already had some experience of that. We had actually done that one in black and white. So it's just a part of me. Even my action films have a little bit of that film noir that that come into play in that.
Is there thought to doing a black and white version of the film?
Yes, and I would if because I want to do since we go through an aggregate, to distribute everything. They don't like us having multiple versions of it. They just want to have one. So unfortunately, we didn't don't have that we can't do that right now. It is something that I would love to do. I do honestly have a little version of it that's black and white myself that I have on my computer at home. So yeah, it was definitely something you just want to see it in black and white. What does it look like? So there is a version out there, and maybe one day we'll release it or be able to, if it does well, then I'll be able to, post it on YouTube in a couple years or so, later or something like that.
What's the release plan? Because it's one thing to like make a movie in under a month over 3 weekends. That's one thing. But getting it out there and getting it in the commercial marketplace, how did you go about that?
Well, we have an aggregate. I'm sure a lot of other filmmakers out there are familiar with Film Hub.
There you go. Film Hub.
We just go straight through them, send it to them, and I think it just hit Amazon at the beginning of the month or so. Now I was holding off on releasing it just a little bit, so it's a little bit later, because we did want to go and talk to a couple we know a couple name actors, and it kind of sent that to them and said, hey, would you be interested in voicing over the main character? And one person was very interested, and we may work with them on a sequel or whatnot. But it was just sort of a timing issue. Being an independent filmmaker, you kind of want to get it out as fast as possible. So there may be a couple sequels to this later down the road, and hopefully we can get a couple names attached to just at the very least just be able to do some of the voice of the characters.
I just imagine the posters for these other versions, because I love classic film noir movie posters. They're great. They're very like pulp, novels and whatnot. So you could have a lot of fun with that.
Oh, I don't know if you're familiar, if you have seen them or not, but yeah, that was our model. We have Bonner holding the front, the femme fatale, and they're both looking off camera, and there's a brick wall behind them.
Well, here's the website for Pro Bono.
Yeah, there we go. That's
that's
right out of a film. No. I thought that was right out of one of the old classic film noirs. She's got the gun, he's holding her, they're looking off camera.
Well, it's first of all, I gotta say it's on notsosane.com. You can see all your films there, including Pro Bono. But you can get to this site by going to bonelyfans.com, which is BONLYFANS.com. BONLYfans.com. Bonelyfans was available. That is bonelyfans.com was available. Bonely, but with no E. Brilliant, man. Brilliant marketing. For my movie, attackofthedoc.com, I actually own attackoftheshow.com, which redirects to Attack of the Doc. So I think anything and it's simply here, you got merch. You can click on and go to the merch page. You got books and about. So there you go. Everything about the company. There you are.
Yeah.
Along with Joey. Homepage for more of your films, the home of non-woke films. So you are making a splash with all this stuff.
Well, I'm trying. We've actually right up there. We're the Serial Rabbit guys. We Serial Rabbit 1 has not been available for 20 years, and we finally went back and re-released it. So
well, and then we spoke earlier about Lady Outlaw. We talked to your lovely leading lady in that interview. So go to notsosane.com or Bonelyfans without an E, bonelyfans.com. What are you working on now? Because it seems like, I think it's really important for indie filmmakers to be prolific. You know, some of your movies are going to pop off and some just go out and you don't get the reaction maybe you expect. What are you working on right now?
We're working on a sequel to one of those films that we were surprised took off. We made a film called Red Days many years ago in 2019, right before everything happened, the lockdowns and everything. And it was a movie about a guy locked in his house for 5 years because of a zombie virus that was outside. So they couldn't go outside and everything. And then, nothing really happened with it. Then the lockdowns happened, and man, that thing skyrocketed. And then just recently, Red Days had sort of a resurgence as well this past year. So we're doing a sequel to that. There's a couple novels that have just hit public domain. So we want to. One of them is a famous film noir movie, and we want to do our take on it. And then there's a heist film and some other films that we're looking at. But we've got things slated, for comedies, zombie films, horror films, action films. You just kind of, like you said, as an independent filmmaker, if you're prolific, you throw what you want out there and see what sticks. And that's the one thing for me is I just have so many stories I want to tell. I can't sit around waiting for $150,000 budget to hit my lap or $1 million
or whatever.
Yeah, I just got to go out there. I'd much rather have the stories be told, have them out there, and maybe they're not, Hollywood quality, but they're out there, rather than sit around and maybe get one or two made in my entire life. This way I'm getting 50, 60 films out there.
Well, Brett, I really admire your spirit. You make films, you don't make excuses. And that's what a real filmmaker does. And so I'm saying right now, go to Amazon, look up Pro Bono, post a good review, go to notsosane.com and look up Brett's other movies, and come back and talk to me when you've got a new project here. I just love that. I know other filmmakers that are like that, have that same spirit of they're always making something. And I think it's important. And then also to not get yourself into debt, which helps with the other gig, teaching film, which is in the space. So you've got probably endless supply of crew members at this point.
Yeah, we've been able to. Joey, who's my producer, was one of my former students when I was teaching at the Art Institute. I invite, every now and then I invite students to come out and, just visit the set, see what it's like. Sometimes I'll bring a student on as an intern, and Joey just kept on showing up and he kept on helping out. He was a big help. Now he's a producer. The first film that he produced of mine, helped produce, was Oldest Posse. And it won all these film festivals. So his first feature film, he was an award-winning producer.
Wow. Well, congratulations, Brett. Please come back with your next movie.
Absolutely.
And congrats on Pro Bono on Amazon, or look for it on your favorite platform. Take care, Brett.
You too. Thank you very much. You do the same.